The 0-2. Swing and a miss, strike three. Wrap this one up in green and white.
Hello, RailCats fans, and welcome back to another edition of the RailCats podcast. I'm your host, Carl Savage, and today we're going to be talking about two things that has happened. One with the RailCats, and two that will affect the RailCats. So I will get into both of them, and I'm going to get into actually the RailCats one first because I'm going to take a little bit lengthier time on the second one, which most of you have probably already heard, but I'll leave that for a minute. So Jackson Smith was officially released by the RailCats on the 14th. I know a little late on that one. Just no days of not anything here and on, and finally look to see what's going on, and he was released. Like I said, I looking at Jackson Smith's record here. He played 5 games under half the season. He had a batting average of .239. He scored 22 runs. He had 38 hits, 7 doubles, 3 triples, 3 home runs. 3 home runs, 15 RBIs, 3 walks, 11 hit by pitches, 36 strikeouts, so on and so forth. And he ended up committing 7 errors. It seems like they punish a lot of catchers for little things that may not fully be their fault to a certain extent, but it is what it is. I thought he was very good defensively for the RailCats. He had a solid arm. He was consistent to a certain point, but I just don't think he fits Lamar Rogers' system really. He is more of your defensive, gonna move from station to station, not so much, that big power. He showed glimpses of the power, but that's not his game. I mean, he was a double-handed wielding, axe swinging person that you don't really see that very often with the follow through with still both hands. He had more of just like a level swing all the way through. So it was interesting to see him play and how he played. Nothing too crazy spectacular that he was just there. I think Thomas Greeley will probably be a better option on the fact of just looking at it. He didn't play, he only played 24 games. He didn't have any home runs, but he had about the same batting average. Drew a little bit more walks, only had 2 RBIs, but I think he was just defensively better and threw a lot more people out versus Jackson Smith. But I thought he was very solid, and I would, kind of keep expecting him to kind of keep him just to kind of have that backup role, because I think he was a better backup catcher than maybe a starting catcher. That kind of catching was kind of a weird cycle this year for the RailCats, going from Cruz being a first baseman, they're throwing him back into catching. Burgess was supposed to be the catcher, but then he threw him at first base. So it was kind of a revolving door a little bit down there, and then you brought in Thomas Greeley, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I hope Jackson Smith finds another opportunity somewhere, if it's in the American Association or somewhere else, or whatever his endeavors are, whatever he's deciding to do next. So I wish him the best of luck in his journey through life. But I know it was kind of quick, but that's nothing, we kind of all saw that one coming. But the big news of the day, which has everyone as a split here between the fan base of the American Association. It's either you love this rule or you hate this rule. Some of the comments that I've been reading are kind of, there's no meaning behind them to a certain extent. It's just they don't like change. I know people don't like change. We're creatures of habit, and when something changes, but the proof is in the pudding here for the American Association. So what they did was they added a pitch clock, right? So ultimately what this pitch clock does is accelerates the game, because you don't have a pitcher or batter sitting there waiting for the pitch count to come through. I get, like, how should I think, was it Olid or no, was it Lingual? I think Lingual it was. When he steps up to the bat, he puts the cross in the ground and then he throws his hands up in the air, kisses the sky, and then walks in. Right? You're not going to be able to do that anymore. You're slowing down the game based on the other attributes you're going. It's not saying that pitchers aren't going to be able to step off if they need to, or whatever the case may be. There's going to be kinks and with the system. It's just not going to be fully ironed out. Like, I get it. But we can't have this staring duel or the batter not wanting to get in the box and this long counts. And I know there's so much to discuss in this, and this is just the minute change, but it's really big in the realm of the American Association, because 2 years ago the slogan was basically, this is where real baseball is played. We don't, we earn our walks, and then they turn around and they implement the I forget what they call it now, the intentional walk, where they can just walk them, they don't have to throw the pitches, but I think the things that have changed with the American Association is being partnered with the MLB. That's what people don't understand. They are partnered with the MLB. Not saying that the MLB fully supports them in in their endeavors. They can make their own rules. The MLB doesn't own them. They just kind of partner with them. So, but this helps, one, for the players that are and will be moving to an affiliate ball or coming back from affiliate ball, that they will have that easier transition, because they've already, the minor leagues have already implemented it, and there's plenty of people that have said, you know what, it was hard to get used to right away, but they ended up really liking it because it gave a rhythm to the game. It gave a bit of a rhythm. It was, okay, I gotta step in, I think it takes a little bit. Now, I this may be a knock on it, but it kind of takes away the thinking a little bit. I understand that, when people talk about baseball, it's, 80% or 90% mental, 10% physical. Baseball is a mental game. You have a lot of time in between to think about things. Football, you have 40 seconds to think about something. Baseball, it was you swung at a bad pitch and you could take up to a minute to really think about it and then swing it, or vice versa, you make a bad play on the field, you never know when your next opportunity is. There's a lot that goes with baseball and the sense of the mental game. And I get that with this, it kind of takes out I think it takes out the arguing every single ball and strike. It takes that out of that. It takes that out of it. It takes out the running through different 500 million different pitch combinations that you want to do. Like, I get it most of the time that the managers are already giving the catchers giving the pitchers the signal of what they should be doing. It's hard, I guess, for me, because let's just really get into the article here. So like I said, they made the decision. It came down today that it's effective for the 2023 season. So what happens is the pitchers will have 15 seconds to deliver a pitch with the bases empty. Okay, so you throw a pitch, you get 15 seconds. 15 seconds is a lot, all right? Realistically, you don't need 15 seconds to throw out a signal and say, all right, let's do it. You don't need that extra 40 seconds to really sit there and ponder. I'll just throw the pitch. And I get that may ruin this fantasy of good old baseball, but where baseball is headed now is it just everything's so long, and there's a reason why, for people like me who want to go to the games but then have to turn around and go to work at 6, but the game gets over at 11, then it takes me an hour to get home. It's midnight. By that time I have to wake up at 4:30. So realistically, I'm getting 4 hours of sleep if I want to stay up and watch the game. Or vice versa, there are some people that have to leave the game to go to work, or they have kids and the kids really want to go to the game, but then it's past their bedtime. In the middle of the week, the game should not be, I can understand if it's a weekend game, it's going to 11, midnight, stuff like that, rain delays. If there's a rain delay, I can understand a game going 4 or 5 hours. But right now, the average pace for a baseball game in the American Association is 3 hours and 11 minutes. I guess I'm jumping a little bit further down in the article than I really wanted to. But I'm just saying that's you're taking a 3-hour game, 3 hour and 11-hour game, and that's just on average, right? The average is probably the majority of the games run a lot longer than just 3 hours and 11 minutes. There's been plenty of time. I think the RailCats, I know it was a rain delay, but it's like in total like 8 hours. Like, that's crazy. But then with runners on base, the pitcher has 20 seconds. So the pitcher must begin his motion before the pitch clock expires, or it'll be charged an automatic ball. So you have your whole 15, 20 seconds to work with. You just have to start your motion at that point. So it doesn't matter how long your delivery is. It doesn't matter, how that's all. As long as you start the motion. Batters must be prepared to receive a pitch in the batter's box with at least 8 seconds remaining. Batters who violate the pitch clock will be automatically charged a strike. So this is going both ways. So you could sit there for your first, let's just say 20. You got 20 seconds. You can sit there for your first 12 seconds and twiddle with your bat glove, your batting gloves, wipe the dirt off your shoe, whatever the case may be. But then you got those last 8 seconds that you're going to be expecting a pitch. But then, you push it to that 20 seconds, you're still not in the box or whatever. Then you're the one that, it's just not against the pitchers. This runs both ways. And then there's 30 seconds between each batter. So the batters, listen, you've been standing on deck for at least 2 batters. You get through I get baseball, every sport has this ritual. Everyone kind of goes through a ritual, but do we need to see you do your ritual? No, not really. Is it a personal thing? Yes, I get it. But I'm pretty sure you can do your little ritual, get from the on deck circle, which is maybe 10 feet away. Just do your little thing and get going. Is it cool watching you do your stuff? I guess maybe just you personal thing. I get it, but we're gonna get away from that, right? Let's just get in the box, and once you hit a home run, you can do whatever you want, right? Or you get on base, you can do whatever you want. Just worry about hitting the ball. This is the whole point. Just worry about hitting the ball. And then it says pitchers will be allowed to step off the rubber or attempt a pickoff move twice per batter. Now, this is an interesting one. This is one that we could really sit here and debate because it's a little bit interesting, but there's more. If a third attempt to pick off the runner is unsuccessful, the runner automatically advances 1 base. The step off pickoff limit resets if the runner or runners advance during the plate appearance. Now, this throws a little question in. Is this going to lead to more stealing, and is this going to lead to more pickoffs? All right. Baseball has done a terrible job, and I think this fixes it to a certain extent, because on that third pickoff attempt, it's either you're going to the plate or the runner's going to go. If he's really wanting to go, he's either going to go or you're just going to throw it to the plate. So I think on that aspect, I think you have to play a little bit of strategy on this point because, okay, say it's, you've done your 2, the pitch count is 1-1. All right, you can waste the ball. You can waste a pitch out, right? You can waste a pitch out. And you think the runner's going to go, and you throw that pitch out and he goes, you have a higher chance of picking the guy off. Doesn't necessarily mean you throw that pitch out, he's going to go. He just knows the pressure's a little bit on the pitcher, but then on the runner at the same time, because he's got to know he's got to commit either which way, which this could be a little gray area. If the runner does advance, you do step off, you do throw it to first or throw it to second, however you want to try to pick the guy off. And then he gets back to the base safely. Is that going to punish? That's a little gray area that we're going to have to wait and kind of see. I think if the runner is committed, I don't think that they're going to punish the pitcher because it was making an attempt. It's kind of like one of those things like a balk. If the pitcher's attempting, looks like he's attempting to go, then that's one of those things. So it'd be interesting to see how they're going to work that one out in that case. But it does seem like, just say you have your 2 pickoff attempts or you have 1 and you throw 1 ball away on a pickoff, the runner advanced, so it resets, so you can throw to second twice again. It's going to lead to a little bit interesting, a little mind game in between. I think it brings a little bit more strategy into it because, I think it takes the pressure off of the runner and puts it back on the pitcher because the pitcher really dictates on what's going to happen with that. I think it'll speed it up in the case of the people that do it 5 or 6 times. Like, it's just kind of like, all right, we get the point. You're trying to get the guy, but there's also a game being played. So that's, say that's 5-10 minutes of you throwing the ball back to the first baseman. Like that gets minimized, and there you get your time back. It seems like what the pitch clock is doing is not the full end all. to this either, because it's not cutting all the fat off. They're trying to cut the fat off, and this is a first good attempt to it. But going on, looking into it, it says the average American Association game reaches 3 hours and 11 minutes and has been an upward trajectory over a decade. So this isn't just like, it's just not like they had a handful of games and it was like, okay, that's it. No, it's an upward trend. And I think this is why baseball is trying to push this to minimize as much as they can, because it just keeps getting longer and longer and longer and longer, because you're not getting pitchers like you did with Mark McGwire, or not Mark McGwire, Mark Burley. I don't say Mark McGwire. Mark Burley, who averaged, I think, 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 45 minutes per game that he pitched, because he got up and was just, it's a rhythm thing. You want to get in a rhythm. I think he had the fastest no hitter. I guess don't quote me exactly on all that stuff, but I should know that as a White Sox fan, but it is what it is. We're getting away from that because it's a lot of, all right, I'm going to get ready to throw the ball. All right, hold on, I'm going to grab the rosin bag. I'm going to flip it up. I'm going to do this with my hair. I'm going to make sure I look good. Hold on, that's something in my cleat. Like, we're getting rid of that. They're here. The baseball, to me, what is more entertaining? Watching a guy do this for 30 seconds or watch someone throw a ball to a catcher for, in that 30 seconds. I'm not here to watch what you do as an individual, as the fact of making sure your jersey looks good or your eye black looks good or what's your ritual. I don't care about that. I care about how you are on the field. And this is what this is going to show. This is going to show who is going to be able to adapt to this new rule change. Because, listen, as everyone seems to, the complaints are, well, this isn't good old baseball or blah, blah, this and that. What are you watching baseball for? If you're not, I'm having a hard time understanding that method. It's not how baseball is supposed to be played. Okay, so is a guy sitting there for a minute flipping around his hair or playing with the rosin bag supposed to be part of the game? I forgot they're playing a game and not throwing a rosin bag, right? That doesn't make any sense to me. I know I may piss people off, but to me, I like the rule. It's different. So then the American Association Commissioner Joshua Schwab said this, quote, we believe a move to pitch clocks was a logical evolution based on the data gathered in affiliated baseball. We further believe this will return to the game to what it once was when it became Americans' pastime, unquote. With that, this is all resulting from the minor league. The MLB came down and throws a bunch of testers at the minor league level, just throws it at them and says, this is what's going to happen. We're going to try this. We're going to try runners on second. We're going to try, taking out runners on second, that kind of, they're just throwing random things and they can pick and choose what they want in and out. This has proven effective to limit the games. I think, where was it? Like I said, at the minor league baseball, it resulted in a 26-minute per game save. So you're taking a 3-hour plus game to a potentially 2.5 hour to 2 hours and 45, and that's not a full 30 minutes, but still, you're taking a game that's 2 hours and 30 minutes, 2 hours and 45 minutes. I think that's plenty of time to get a baseball game in. It's beautiful. I think that's a perfect time. I think that's why I'm so attached to hockey, is because I know a game starts at 7, it's going to get over at 9:30. Even if it goes in overtime, it'll get over at 9:30, 9:45, and I watch the entire game and I can go to bed. Then Commissioner goes on to say, quote, as evidenced by the increased pace of play, little to no effect on field play, the rousing success in the minor league baseball can be duplicated in the American Association. The fan experience is first and foremost on our minds at all times, and our clubs are excited to begin instituting instituting these new timers in their ballparks to provide the best fan experience. So this is where the divide comes in, is the people that don't think this is a good idea and the people that love this idea. I'm on this side. I love the idea. It's just a matter of what this side wants. This isn't going to affect the actual play of the game. It's going to affect the in-between, right? It's going to cut out the fat. This is ultimately what it's doing. It's cutting out the fat. All right. If you're a successful pitcher, most of the time when you're successful, you fall into a rhythm, right? When you follow the rhythm is when you start taking time away from the game, and you're probably struggling at that point. Most pitchers that are successful are going to hit that 20-minute or 20-second limit with no problem at all. Is this potentially going to weed out some weaker pitchers? Yeah. Does this solve everything that's wrong with the Americans? I guess how I'm describing this is, what is wrong with the Americans? What is wrong with the game of baseball? Some people think it's perfect. Some people don't think it is. I'm always in the realm of, how can we make the game better? If you can make the game better and it doesn't affect the gameplay, then sure, go right ahead. Do it. I'm good with that. But if it affects the game, then you take it out. And I think baseball has done a pretty good job at that. The MLB, at least, with the doubleheaders, no one liked the doubleheaders going to 7 innings and it be over. No one liked that. So they presented it back. The runner on second in extra innings. It doesn't necessarily... It helps people scoring, but it doesn't necessarily... I don't think it helps the extra innings, because if one team can do it, the other team can do it. That's nor here nor there on that aspect of it. But just based on this ruling is a lot more tame than what it really could be. Because I can tell you the one thing that all RailCats fans can attest to. That you better best believe that when a pitcher's screwing up, the pitching coach is going to come out. How many times see Jim Thornton go out there? How many? Because the guy walked one guy. Like, Lord, dude, like, come on. Like, I get it. It's your style. That's going to lead into limited mound visits. Are you going to want that? I don't know. Would it speed up the game a lot more? Yes. Especially RailCats games. Because a pitcher starts to struggle to play the Notre Dame fight song. Here he comes. Really? Get it together, throw the ball. Like, that's all you gotta say to him. I get it, there's probably a lot more into it than I'm not understanding, but that's... Any kid in high school, when I coached the high school, then I told, listen, just go out there and throw a pitch. I can go out there, calm your mind, go throw a strike, move on. Right? Just calm down for a second, move on. But not every time. What it's also going to lead to is a minimum of a 3 pitch at bat, or 2 batters, or not pitch batters. How many batters a pitcher can face is what this next one will lead to. And I think the biggest issue with the American Association is how wide open the games can get. How many times are you going to see a game just get out of hand and it just keeps going and piling and piling and piling and piling and piling and piling, and next you're just like, all right, get it over with. Like, but that's the thing that you're not going to see as much in the MLB world or in the affiliated world, just because they get to pick and choose. So you got the best playing each other. So it kind of evens itself out. Even though a team may really be really bad and you may be facing the best team in the nation, there's still 1% of the entire population of the United States playing in this game. Like, it takes a lot to get to that point in general. So this is a bunch of people that are probably playing it to try to get somewhere, or just playing it for Summer League because they can. I'm not saying that they're playing to win, whatever the case may be. I get that. That, to me, really is what's wrong, is the way the games pile up. How many times does an inning go from what could have been 5 minutes to 45 minutes? Is there any way that you're going to be able to change that? No. And you're just going to have to accept it. I'm just going to have to accept it. There's going to be games like this. But what this does is this limits those 45-minute innings to maybe 30 minutes. That's an extra 15 minutes you just saved, right? Like I said, this is the one. I have one guy arguing with me on Twitter over this. And what I don't understand is, I get it that the teams make the money from concessions. I get it. You make the money from selling your $7 beers to the alcoholics out there that want to drink from the time they walk in to the time that they leave. And I'm not saying that I'm not one of those who like to have a good time at a ballpark, because I do. There's been plenty of times that I went to the Steel Yard and I walked in, grabbed a beer, and made sure I was there for last call. I got up every or so inning or whatever the case may be, and got myself a beer because I enjoy drinking at a ballpark. The issue with the comment of, well, the teams make their money, so why would they want to limit that? Okay. So most of the time you come into a ballpark, either one, you have eaten before you came, because not every time, if you go to a lot of games, not every time do you want to spend $4 on a hot dog or $3 on a hot dog. You don't want to spend $8 on a cheeseburger and fries and all that. You just don't want to do it. Sometimes you'll go out to eat somewhere, maybe fast food, or maybe you cook at home. You eat there. You may get a bottle of water or pop, whatever the case may be. Most of the time you come in and you do that. Or you got the people that want to eat there, and they will eat there when they first get there. Sometimes people just want a snack, they'll get a snack. It's 2 hours. If this limits the time, it's still going to be a 2 hour and 45-minute game. All right, so I'm not good at breaking things into thirds. By the time the concession stand, they shut off at the 7th inning. It's majority of the time when concession stands start to kind of close down. This will ultimately, one of two things here. Yes, is the amount of revenue coming in maybe not as much? No, but majority of the time people will have already gotten what they wanted by the time the 7th inning hits anyways. You can still keep open the team store. You can still keep something open, and that'd be fine. You got to think, though, a lot of the deterrent from baseball is the length of the game. If the game is shorter and a lot more exciting because there's not so much fat, fat on the bones, more people are going to be willing to go to a baseball game. So they're willing to spend more money because they're going to get more people coming in. Your first experience at a baseball game, let's just say you go to your first baseball game and it lasts 5 hours. You get home at 1 o'clock in the morning and you have to work at the butt crack of dawn. Is your experience wanting to go back? Probably not. Okay. You go to a game that starts at 6:45, gets over at 9:15, you're home by 10. Pretty good day. Go to bed, wake up, you can do it again. The thing is not baseball and football. The difference here is football, you play once a week. You could have a 3-hour game and people are perfectly fine with it because a lot of the fat is cut off and it's on time and it's just kind of how it goes. And it happens once a week. Baseball, on the other hand, you have 100 games and you cram 100 games into what, like 120 days? It's a lot of baseball, and that's a lot of hours to put in to playing the game, to being practiced, to traveling, and this and that. Ultimately, this helps along the long run of things. And even at the ballparks themselves, you're not going to have to pay people as much or as long because the games aren't going so long. You're not going to have to pay someone to be there that should be there for only for an hour and a half, but they're there for 2 hours. So you have to pay those people those 2 hours because they're going to be there for those 2 hours because the game's going on forever, or the case of the concession stands were closed, whatever the case may be. Now you got the janitorial crew that have to come in after the game, but they can't, they can't get done until you guys are gone. You can do whatever that, so it's extending the amount of time people are at the ballpark. This doesn't just affect what happens on the game; it affects everyone else that's around, that's involved with the game. So I don't like the concession stand argument. Another argument was the umpires and how terrible they are. Oh, okay, umpires are terrible. Some of these players that play in this league are terrible. It's just the fact. They're not playing professionally. Not saying that there aren't umpires in the MLB that aren't terrible, because there are. But it's a stepping stone for most people. This is a stepping stone for people that want to play MLB or affiliated baseball. So you're not going to get the best of the best. You're going to get some crappy players, some crappy umpires sometimes, because it just happens. It's the same thing with high school. You go to a high school game. I get that the umpires are paid. They go through courses. I get it. But there's a reason why. One, they're in the American Association, or let's just say a high school umpire or a Little League umpire. Heck, most Little League umpires or Babe Ruth umpires are volunteers, whatever program you're part of, or mostly volunteers. So they don't go to courses. They're there taking time out there to do it. I'm not saying that's the best because they worked all day and they have to come do this. Most umpires have a job that they have to do and they go to the games, or they got a lot of traveling and stuff happens. Like, everyone makes mistakes. There are some RailCats games where the umpires are absolutely terrible? Yes. But that's just something we're going to have to live with, because I guarantee you they're not going to spend the money to get a invisible umpire. All right? They're not going to do it. All right? Once that gets brought into it, you can start complaining about. I mean, MLB's already going to do it. But that's just because that's the best of the best, and they want to be correct all the time. This is basically what it comes down to. They want to make sure you can't argue balls and strikes because you have a computer telling you that's a strike and you have to deal with it. Or it's a ball and you just have to throw the next pitch. There's a lot more issues in the American Association, what I'm saying, than this pitch clock. I think this pitch clock is in the right spot. I think that they are going to be better off with it. Like I said, just reading the rest of the article here, each ballpark will be equipped with 3 Dictronics pitch clocks. 2 will be located behind home plate. The third clock will be located in the outfield. The exact outfield installation location will be determined by each club. So not every ball club is going to have it in the same spot, but it's probably going to be in both. Obviously, probably over in center field, most likely. RailCats are probably going to put it above or underneath the speed for the pitch, the speed of the pitch, the speedometer, whatever you want to call it, the miles per hour pitching, however you want to put it. They're probably going to put it there. It's more than likely what I'm going to guess was going to happen. I guess I get the change, and no one likes change. I get that. But losing your mind over something that really isn't going to affect the game. I just really, what I wanted, I guess, for the people that are concerned with it, with the pitch clock, I want to know what your concerns are. Why are, it's not like they're putting a time on the game itself. They're just telling you, hey, throw the pitch within 20 seconds or 15 seconds. That's all you got to do. All right? I mean, do I have to sit here? I can pause myself for 15 seconds and see how long it is. All right? So I'm going to pause for 15 seconds. I think that's plenty of time to throw a pitch. And then you add 5 more seconds onto it. Feels like eternity. You can do a lot in 15 seconds. And I can give you all these signs in 15 seconds. You just got to start your motion by then. Does this hinder the first baseman? No. Does this hinder the third baseman, the left fielder, the center fielder, second, short? No. It's not hindering the game. It's cutting the fat off. Right? You're just cutting the fat off of the game. You know, you have one league that's trying to minimize the amount of time that someone's at the ballpark, which I get that you want to spend your time at the ballpark. I want to spend the time at the ballpark. But I also like to come in an hour and a half, 2 hours earlier to enjoy the ballpark. I want to sit down and watch the game. I don't want to sit down and watch people pick their butts. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to watch you play a game. And ultimately, that's why I like it. Like I said, if it's a total bomb, if the players like, we can't stand this, if the fans are just like, we can't handle it, it doesn't make any sense, it's BS, or whatever the case may be, if the players like, I just can't do it, they'll take it out. They're going to make sure it says it right. Mr. Schwab says it right there at the end of his sentence. Provide the best fan experience. He didn't say the best experience for the owners or the best experience for himself. For the fans. This is a thinking of the fans first. Now, you're right. People aren't going to like certain things. I don't like certain things. But we all live in a world where we kind of have to adjust to it. And if we don't like it, then we'll let the American Association know we don't like it. But if we love it, we have to make sure that they also know that. If it's 80 to 20, 80% loving it, yeah, that should outweigh the 20 that don't like it. But on the flip side, I'm not going to say that if I'm that 20% that love it and the other 80%, I'm not going to try to convince you that this makes it any better. I'm just giving you my opinion, what I like it, what it means to the game, and what they're going to do. That's my opinion. Your opinion, you may absolutely hate it, but then come to love it. Or I may like it and come to hate it. We'll just have to wait and see. But I'm just saying, I think with the positive remarks from the minor league systems, this is a good thing for the American Association. Because, like I said, I don't want to leave the game because I have to leave the game. I want to leave the game because the game is over. You know what I'm saying? The game's over. You're there for the final out. You get to cheer. Do wherever you want to go. You get to go home and have a good night. I don't want to leave because, you know what? I got to be up in 5 hours. Or I got to go to work. Or, you know, I really like to bring the kids with, but by the time we get home, it's going to be way past their bedtime. Is the other solution potentially moving the games from 6:45 to 5:45? But then, well, you got the people that go to work and they work from 9 to 5. And, you know, there's sometimes where I have to work later hours, and, you know, but they don't get that full experience, you know. They're trying to find the best way for the fans to be happy. And you know what? If a ball club loses out on $1,000 a night because they're closing, yeah, overall time it's going to affect them in the long run. But is it though? Is it going to bring more people back to the ballpark because they get to know that they can be home at a certain time and not, you know, like I said, everything's going to have every sport has its flukes. Even hockey. There's sometimes the hockey games go on forever because of face-offs, icing, whatever you want to call it. I'm not saying it's perfect. Football games, same difference. Basketball games, probably one of the worst. The last 2 minutes of the game lasts 2 hours. They get all the different timeouts, fouls, this and that. This just limits the amount of fat that's put out on this product. I like to see the pace of the game increase, and this is what this is going to do. This is going to limit how long the games are going to be. Because you'll get to watch more games and be able to come home at a decent time. This is what I got. Gonna wrap it up for me. I'm gonna go. I gotta say hi to my grandmother. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, rest of your evening. Your thoughts down below. Catch you next time.